Greetings, everybody. It's been a hot minute since we've been on here live. I'm glad to be back, and we're going to be bringing the show back as well with a new slate of guests in 2021. Took a little break after the election and then the holidays and everything, but we're going to be bringing it back. So that's going to be cool here in Cincinnati and around the country. So welcome everybody who's joining me. I know we have a lot of folks on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all the rest. We're on all the channels. So thank you. And let me first say that if anybody has any questions or wants to drop a comment in the chat, I will try to keep an eye on those and touch base, even if you just want to say hi. That's cool. I appreciate it. A lot of news dropping today, so it's kind of a game time decision here to hop on live real quick and touch on some of this, but there's been a lot of buzz, especially about Amtrak stuff here, especially in Ohio and Cincinnati. That's gotten a lot of traction over the last couple of weeks, and some more news out today that's really timely and part of all of it. So let me just kind of dive right into it. First of all, the news about Amtrak and these corridor routes that they're looking at funding, totally federally funding. You know, in Ohio, here in 2010, we had the opportunity with $400 million of federal funds to build a 3C corridor from Cleveland, Columbus State, and Cincinnati. And of course, our governor at the time, Governor Kasich, sent that money back to the federal government, and it went other places. Like, it didn't just go back in the bank or in the Treasury. You know, for example, some of that money went up to Michigan under their Republican governor, Rick Snyder, at the time, and they improved the route from Detroit and Ann Arbor to Chicago to 110 miles an hour the whole way. And I've had 3 or 4 trains a day round trip ever since. And we've been kind of in a holding pattern here. My sense is now that our state government is, and I'm going to give you an example of this here in a bit. I've got some notes. I've got multiple screens going, and there's just a lot of information, but I'm going to share some things. I think we're in a lot better position here in Ohio than we've been in a long time, to where our current administration and leadership, I believe, is more amenable to this now. And there's just a groundswell of just desire. When I started posting about the opportunity that we have here to have 5 corridor routes in Ohio, from Cleveland, Columbus, Toledo, and a couple here in Cincinnati, both the 3C route and also talking about connecting with multiple daily service to Chicago. I posted about it on LinkedIn and got a notification a while later from LinkedIn saying that post was in the top 1% of all of their post interactions at the time. So there is just and it's just incredible, especially given the fact that we're talking about something that doesn't really exist here. And that I believe there's just a strong pent-up demand that will really just surprise a lot of folks when the day comes that we do have it, exactly how popular. And I think that all of the traction around it now and buzz and media has picked up on it, all of these types of things leads us to believe that. Having said that, today's news is from out of DC, the Rail Passengers Association, which of course most of you know, I'm on the board of All Aboard Ohio, which is a statewide public transit advocacy started in the late 60s, early 70s, specifically for passenger rail, when the private rail companies were getting out of that business, to advocate for it. Here in Ohio, we've expanded our mission to include all of public transportation, really. But kind of going back to the roots with this discussion about Amtrak is very exciting. And so what we have today is the Rail Passengers Association, which is like the national version of our organization, put out a notice to members that the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure released today a transportation funding proposal for the next round of COVID-19 funding that includes $1.5 billion with a B dollars for Amtrak and $30 billion for public transportation in general, along with mandates to restore daily service on the long distance trains and bring back workers furloughed due to the pandemic, which I love. So a couple of things. For those joining me here in Cincinnati, you know that we have the Amtrak Cardinal that's been 3 times a week in either direction that comes through here in the middle of the night on its way to Chicago or the other direction to the East Coast, DC and New York. But the other long distance routes throughout the country that Amtrak has, most of which are daily service, have been cut back to 3 days a week as well. And so we've had the scenario now where all of the national network of Amtrak outside of the Northeast Corridor, which is the Acela, the high-speed route along the East Coast, have only been operating 3 days a week subsequent to COVID. This will be telling Amtrak to bring those all of those trains back to daily service and restore that. Now, my first question is going to be, well, does that mean the Cardinal too? Is there money in there? We get the Cardinal. No reason to keep that at 3 days when everybody else is daily service. So I'm going to check further into that. But nevertheless, this is money to bring back all of the rest of the national system to daily service. And $30 billion for transit across the country is really a wonderful number. There's some more details contained within here. Out of that $1.5 billion for Amtrak, it's $820 million for the Northeast Corridor, and almost $700 million then for the national network. And some other details about bringing back workers that have been furloughed. For the mass transit, funds shall be used to prepare for, respond to coronavirus, including eligibility for operating expenses to prevent layoffs and avoid cuts to service. So that would be funding then available for a Metro here in Cincinnati. Also the Cincinnati streetcar, which operates now as a separate but related transit system operated by the city of Cincinnati, should be able to get those funds as well. Typically, it's done on a formula basis. We've already received $500,000 for that. SORTA received, I believe, about $36 million already. So this would be in addition to those dollars. Very exciting news. Now, the call to action is, which, by the way, I've got my Twitter up here at Derek Bauman. I've got some more details about this up on my Twitter, so go check that out. And we're asking folks to contact your congressional delegations because this is actually getting what they say marked up tomorrow. Any changes and things that are made as this comes out of committee is going to be very soon. So I have more information on that on Twitter. So that's number one. I'm kind of following up on this. And again, if anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat here. It should come up for me. I find it very interesting, and I'll put this out on social media, talking about how amenable our state is now, I believe, more so than in the past to these things. There was an op-ed written, let me pull it up here. Op-ed in the Springfield News-Sun, Springfield, Ohio, by State Senator Antani, who's known just generally as one of the more conservative state representatives. He's state senator here in Ohio, and he wrote an op-ed that's really very, very positive about the proposal for Amtrak here in Cincinnati. He talks about an expanded transportation network will increase Ohio's ability to attract business to the state and better our quality of life. As Ohio's youngest state senator, he knows that millennials want this project to happen. Keeping millennials living in Ohio is important for keeping our state innovative, prosperous, all of those types of things. So a positive op-ed by one of the most conservative state senators in the state of Ohio, I think, is very positive and really makes a great point here. It speaks to the business case for doing this. Of course, we can go through all the benefits, which I won't get into right now. But suffice it to say, there is a very strong business case to be made for our tax base, for economic development, for just the ability for people to move around our state. And when that's happening, commerce tends to follow. And of course, it's very productive work. When you're on the train, you can be sitting here doing these things. We could be going live from Amtrak on our way to Columbus or Cleveland or Chicago right now. And wouldn't that be a cool thing when it happens? So we've been working hard on this for a long time. We've still got our efforts going on in Oxford to get them. Amtrak approved them a few years ago for the station stop, and it's just been so much kind of touch and go with what's going to happen with the Cardinal only being 3 days a week, but certainly with this is going to drive that. I talked to some folks in Oxford just this week, and they say the planning is continuing to move forward there. They've actually expanded the scope beyond just an Amtrak station to coordinating with a new hub for Butler County RTA and connecting that with active transportation, bike, pedestrian, by the Amtrak there, and all of these things working how it's supposed to. And I think all of this is just going to be massive for Southwest Ohio and the greater tri-state area, and really our country, looking at this bill coming out here today. For those in the Cincinnati area, looking at this, the committee structure, who's on there, none of our local folks are on here. We've got Troy Balderson up in Columbus, a Republican, and a few others from around the area, Thomas Massey in Kentucky. And of course, now with the Democrats having control, I think there's just a lot more impetus for these things to move forward. But again, there's a great business case to be made for this as well. And with Amtrak and the national network, you actually see in a lot of red states just a lot of support, because in smaller communities across the country that are landlocked, that don't have airports nearby, it's just a real landline for them and a lifeline to be able to connect to the rest of the country. So with that being said, we're going to have a call tonight, All Aboard Ohio. Please check us out, allaboardohio.org. We're going to be having a call tonight, and we're going to have an Amtrak official on that call on our monthly board meeting. So hopefully we'll have some more details here in the next couple hours or so from that. But just a lot of moving parts right now. It's very exciting. And finally, a kind of final closing note here from a campaign perspective, we're going to have some news dropping tomorrow for those that are still here with me and joining. We're going to have some fun and exciting news dropping tomorrow from the campaign. So stay tuned for that. It'll be in your inbox and around social media. Exciting time. So that's the news today on the transit front. It's good to connect with everybody. We're going to get the show and some great guests back up and running soon. And look forward to talking to you all again. So have a great night. And if I get some more breaking news after our board meeting tonight, I'll let you know. But for now, at Derek Bauman on Twitter, check it out. We got more details on all of this. Appreciate you all stopping by, and have a great night. Be safe.